Hi everyone, I'm Christina. I've spent most of my life living in survival mode. That is until one day when I finally decided to change. This started a journey to rediscover myself and ignited a passion for healing, spirituality, and personal growth. Now I want to share my joy and experiences with all of you. So follow along. Who knows? Maybe you just might find something you love. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. Today we have a healer that I've worked with for quite a while named Clare Gray. Claire, it's so great to have you on here. Thank you for joining me today.
Oh, thank you so much for asking me. It's wonderful.
Yes, it's been a minute since we've seen each other. I think it's been at least 6 months or so.
Yeah, it's been quite a while.
Yeah. I was reminiscing the other day about how we met. I first met you a few years ago. We came together to work during a period of time where I actually joined a program to create my business. And I just remember meeting you and just really loving what you have to do. What attracted me to you was the fact that I didn't have to do anything other than tell you what was going on with me.
That's so nice. It's like, here's all my problems, deal with it.
Yeah, I was so used to at that time just me putting in so much work, of like fixing or feeling like I had to fix myself and heal myself. It was just such a great comfort and refreshing idea where you literally told me, just tell me, or to just tell you what I was feeling, what pains I felt physically, emotionally, what was going through my mind, and that you would take on the rest.
And it's so interesting. I love working with clients because I get them to tell me what the problem is, like not what the medical diagnosis is, like, oh, you've just been diagnosed with Parkinson's or whatever it is, but tell me the symptoms because the subconscious mind doesn't understand terms like medical terms, but it will know the cause of the pain, the stiffness, what's going on in your life. And when you start a session, it's like reading a mystery novel. It's like, because I don't know where it's going to take me. I don't know the causes, but it's so exciting to see it unfold and go, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And just, yeah, it's inspiring. And I love, I mean, people say to me, oh, how do you do that? You're so amazing. And I said, it's not me. It's your subconscious mind is directing me. So if anyone's the powerful one, it's the person that I'm working with, which is exciting.
That is pretty exciting. I know that when I first was started working with you, I really had no idea. Well, one, I had no idea what you were doing, and to be honest, and two, I had no idea what to expect because I didn't know. All I know is that when I came into the program, I came in to pretty much unblock, I believe, unblock whatever was in my way of accomplish or seeming to accomplish what I wanted to do in my career. For the sake of those listening today, would you mind providing a little bit of description around what you actually do?
I do several things. Um, so I'm a body code and belief code practitioner, and I'm also a PSYCH-K facilitator. And at the end of the week, I'm going to be finishing my final advanced course in health and wellness in PSYCH-K. So both modalities connect to your superconscious mind, and I connect remotely, and I just continue to ask questions. Like I will ask first, what is there something that we can do for this issue? And it's always a yes. The subconscious knows what the issue is, what caused it, and how it can deal with it. And it's like, what's the most important thing that we can do right now? And I can always tell through a session if someone's done a lot of energy work because it'll be like short little snippets. It'll be number one, a misaligned heart meridian. Is there anything associated? No. So you just clear, 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 clear. And if you haven't done a lot of work, it you can have one issue and it's related to like 3 pages of other issues. And it can be down to a belief that you're unworthy, a belief that you have fear stepping into the unknown. It can be any number of things, but to really get down to the root and to get that feedback from the people that I work with, that after one session, it's like, wow, all of a sudden the pain's gone away. I had one client who had been diagnosed with Parkinson's, but I said, forget the Parkinson's, how do you feel? So she was in her early 30s. She had to walk with a walking stick, couldn't walk up and down stairs. But the process then takes me to the cause, and the cause was an aluminum toxicity, which is the same symptoms as Parkinson's. And in 3 sessions, she's now running up and down stairs.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
it can be that dramatic. But again, it's your subconscious mind knows everything and is incredibly powerful.
That makes me think back to our first sessions together where I'm like, how many pages were my printouts? I don't remember. I know that they weren't like crazy long though. So I take validation in that fact of knowing that I had some work. The work I had been doing accomplished some stuff because it wasn't like 20 or 30 pages. But I do but I do know I had quite a bit to work on because at that time it was when I had just started doing a lot of really intense shadow work. So for me, it wasn't about necessarily medical issues, but it was more around my emotions and my beliefs and my upbringing and just my state of mind, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the lovely thing about the subconscious mind and how the body works, it will send you messages, and most people don't realize that. It's like, oh, my knee is sore. It's like, what's it trying to tell you? As
Yeah.
opposed to taking some aspirin, like, what's the deeper meaning? Because the subconscious mind will try and look after you. It wants you to be well. It wants you to thrive. And if something's wrong, whether it's an emotional state or physical state, it will send you a message. Usually starts in dreams, and you usually wake up and go, that was a strange dream, and then forget about it. Not realizing that's a message. That's the way your subconscious connects to you. So if you ignore that, then you get a message through pain or life events like, oh, I've just had a fight with my best friend, and then somebody cut me up on the road, and like, why is all this chaos happening? It's like, what's your subconscious trying to tell you? What's the message? Every single thing in your life, every event is a message for you.
Yeah.
And if you can find out what that message is, then you can then create a new belief around that and then completely change it. And that's what we do in PSYCH-K. It's like, yeah, you have a pain in your knee. What's the message? And I'm slightly addicted to Oracle card decks because that's majority of the messages come from those. I've got about 80 decks. My poor husband. My poor husband actually had to buy me a new bookcase to house them all. But it can be amazing the messages that you get. And then it's like, okay, I'm feeling this pain, and the message is a picture of a house.
Yeah.
Well, are you happy living where you're living? Well, no. It's like, then you create the belief, I'm happy and blissful no matter where I am. And the pain can shift and leave
Yeah.
you.
I wholeheartedly believe in all of that. And it's so funny you bring up pain in the knee because it reminds me of a story of when I actually emailed you and I was like, Claire, I need a session because my left knee is in so much pain. And it was when I was learning how to ski. And I remember that I didn't tell you this part, but I just said there's been a lot of pain in my left knee and the pain won't leave. But what was really happening is when that pain was occurring, the thoughts I was having to myself, it was around, I was following my sister on the ski trail and she's much better skier than I am. And we had this deal where we basically would start off together, but then she'd always leave me because she doesn't want to wait. And I get that. I'm a new skier.
Hmm.
So as that was happening, I just remember going, man, this is really tough. This is really hard. And then she zoomed past me and I was like, I feel so alone and I feel so kind of abandoned. But then at the same time, I was thinking to myself, it's okay. Just keep going. She'll meet you at the bottom. And when I told you like my knee is in so much pain and you had no idea about the story at all, and you went back and you did your work on me. When I got the report out, and this is when we had a heart wall session, uh, you gave the report back to me, and it literally said pain in the left knee, abandonment from my mother's side from a long, long time ago. And
Mhm.
I was just like, holy Claire is like the real. I already knew because I was in a few sessions deep with you by that point in time, but I already knew that like you were real. I felt it with every core of my being, but seeing that on paper, I was like, she is so awesome. And that's how I started out
Oh,
with
thank you.
you, was with the heart wall sessions. I know that our relationship has evolved since then, and we have worked on so many different services together. I have loved it all. Could you tell us a little bit more about like the heart wall and emotion codes that you do as well?
Absolutely. Heart wall is a really interesting thing. So that again, it's the subconscious trying to protect the heart. So if you have been through traumatic experiences, heartbreak, whatever it is, real trauma, the subconscious mind feels, okay, we need to protect the heart, but it only has a certain amount of things at its disposal that it can do that. So it uses energy to protect the heart, but it uses the energy of the trapped negative emotions. That's all it has to do that. So it will create an energetic wall using layer upon layer upon layer of these negative emotions, and literally creates this physical energetic wall around the heart. But this in turn has an effect of keeping you separate. You can't connect to your heart. You can't connect to love, to people. And I know for myself, I'd read about it, I'd studied it, I became qualified to do it. And it's like, okay, I guess I'm my first guinea pig. I have to clear my heart wall. And a heart wall can be anywhere between 5 emotions to 70 emotions. 70 was about the biggest wall I've ever come across. My wall was 68 emotions. So you have to release them one at a time, and only a certain amount at a time. My husband at that time and I meditated every morning, and I would get very frustrated because I couldn't get into that. I couldn't experience those mystical things that people talk about. Well, after 2 weeks, I finally cleared my heart wall. And then the next meditation that I experienced, we did a meditation where you connect to your chakras. And then as soon as I connected to my heart chakra, it literally exploded. It felt like my heart was too big for my body and was literally 3 foot outside my body. So I'm sitting there shaking, tears streaming down my face, just feeling this bliss. And it's like, oh, my heart has just opened. This is what it feels like. This is what everybody talks about. So it can have a profound effect on how you feel. You now get to connect to your heart. You now get to feel. You now get to connect to bliss and to joy, and connect to other people in your life too. It's wonderful. So
Yeah,
I don't know your experiences when I cleared it. I can't remember.
it was so long ago. I somewhat remember it. I think I had like 7 sessions with you around it, but I do know that every time you worked on me, like I felt so much lighter, you know? Um, and I could feel that I was becoming more of myself and letting go of a lot of the things that I kept really locked down in my heart. And
Mhm.
it just felt so freeing to me. And I must say, like what you do, you're the first that I've come across that does what you do. And I had never even heard of it before. I'm just wondering how you even got into this and how'd you hear about it?
My sister actually told me about it. She texted me one day to say, "Can I do a healing session on you?" And I said, "Sure, go ahead." Um, and you can practice this. There's a book telling you how to do this. And if you want to go further, then you get certified and you get to understand the deeper levels of how to do it. But she just got the app. She was totally interested and wanted to do a session just to practice. And I felt different afterwards. My meditations were clearer and my mind was calmer. So it's like, what were you doing? And then she told me, oh, it's the body code. And it's like, oh, I gotta have more of this. So, but I have a background in applied kinesiology back nearly 40 years. So I understood the principles of muscle testing and connecting to your subconscious mind. So on a certain level, it's like I understood the whole process, which made it a lot easier for me. And then I just continued from there. And then from that, then I, through divine intervention, discovered PSYCH-K, which is an incredible modality, and incredible what that can do as well. I mean, I've heard of people being cured of stage 4 cancer using PSYCH-K by just removing the trauma, removing the stress around situations, creating new beliefs, transforming I feel unworthy to I am worthy of greatness. And it's literally, I wouldn't say it's literally that simple, because depending on how many negative beliefs you have, you know, it could take a while, but it's wonderful to see someone. I was working with one girl who was having a PTSD episode, and I told her what to do, and I just sat with her on a Zoom call. And within 5 minutes, she's just sitting there smiling with tears rolling down her face, saying, okay, let's keep going. I want more of this.
I love that. Do you have any recommendations for how someone would approach your services for someone who doesn't know much about it and they're curious enough to find out and want a session with you? I know that when I worked with you, I had no idea, and you just gave me a recommendation. You said, let's just start with heart wall. And from there, we evolved from heart wall into emotion code. And now we do PSYCH-K together every time I'm getting ready
Mhm.
for a ceremonial journey, which I'm actually going on this weekend. So it's
Oh,
kind of funny
wonderful. Oh,
how
I'm
it all
jealous.
coincides. Yeah. One
I'm
day
going
you'll
to be
have to do it
joining
with
you
me.
one day.
Yeah, one day, please.
So on my website, which is claregray.life, just click on Discovery Call and we can have a Zoom session and just discuss what it is. If you've got infections or maybe have a fungus issue, then I would say the body code and belief code would probably be the best route to go down. But during the Zoom session, I often will connect to their subconscious and I'll ask their subconscious, what's the best thing to do?
Mhm.
So sometimes you just take the conscious mind out of the equation. It's like, let's go to the part of your mind that knows exactly what you need to do. So just to tell you a quick story, a very, very dear friend of mine, she was offering to be my guinea pig when I was doing the certification course, and I did a session for her. Now I work with, in the emotion code and body code, there's 60 emotions that you work through. Because of my background in applied kinesiology, I have about 400 emotions that I work through. So they are at my fingertips if it's needed. And again, the subconscious knows exactly where to steer me. And during the session, the emotion of thirst came up, which is one of those extra emotions that I work with. So I wrote up and I thought, that's interesting. But I kind of had a feeling of, I saw her crawling through the desert. It's like, I think that's a past life issue. So I sent her the report and she phoned me the next day and she said, how did you know that? And I said, what? She said, thirst. She said, I've had an issue with thirst all my life.
Mhm.
She said, my parents took me to the doctors when I was a child because they thought there could be something wrong. She said, I was fanatical about having a bottle of water near me. She wasn't necessarily thirsty, but an overriding need to be near a water supply. And she said, I've just grown to live with it. She said, it's always with me. And she said, it's gone. And I said, yeah, I think you died of thirst in a past life. So it blew my mind because I love working with past life stuff.
Yeah.
But just finding the word thirst, so it's not necessarily an emotion, but it's like a memory, and clearing that, it's like all of a sudden someone doesn't experience that trauma anymore. And she said, don't need to be around water anymore.
Wow. And the fact
Yeah,
that it wasn't something that she built up in this life, but it came carried with her from a
yeah,
past life.
yeah.
And who knows how many past lives ago, right? Or you
Well,
probably know how these
exactly.
past lives go.
You
But
don't need, sometimes you need to know, most of the time you don't. You just ask the subconscious to take you to the root. So the
yeah.
first instance of that issue, you clear that, and then it clears it through all of them. Then you come back to present time and you check it in present time. And you may have to clear it again in present time, but most of the time, like 80% of the time, you don't. But you just make sure that all of the instances of that trauma have been cleared, and then it's gone. If you only clear it from the present life, it's like cutting the head off a weed. The roots are still anchored there. It will still grow back. It may feel better to a point, but you want to get to the root. You want to pull that weed up by its roots so it no longer exists and no longer interferes with you, your health, and your mind, and how you feel
I
and your emotions.
I think that's one of the reasons why I was so attracted to working with you, because it wasn't just about curing the symptoms or talking it out. It really went down to the deep core of it all, from how it all started and where it all started.
Mm-hmm.
And I know with me, sometimes we were able to get things out in one session, and sometimes it took a little bit because it was so deeply rooted and ingrained into my core belief system. But it was really about, where did that wound come from and why do we have it? And now that I know it, it's a choice for me to let it go and be able to release it, or if I want to hold on to it. And I never want to hold on to it.
And I think you hit on a really, really important thing. All of healing is about letting go. Like, do you have a job that you hate? Is the fact that you hate it and feel frustrated actually holding you back from achieving your purpose? And it's about letting go of the trauma. It's about letting go of what's holding you back. And you literally take a leap of faith and step into the unknown. And you're always protected. You know, it might feel like jumping off a cliff sometimes, but the divine is always there to capture you and to guide you in the right direction. Always.
I always feel like I'm jumping off that cliff. The hardest part is taking the jump, right? But once you
Yeah.
jump, you're like, oh, and you might feel like you're free falling for a little bit. At least I did. But then it's always like, oh, we catch you, and it's so soft. And
Yeah.
I've just so immensely enjoyed how our relationship has evolved, just in general. I came in so timid and just kind of like, I don't really know what to tell you. I was filtering myself so much when I would tell you what's going on, and I would only tell you like the really big things. But then once I really got comfortable with you, I was just like, oh yeah. I was telling you everything. I was like, if my finger hurts from the other day, my nose is running I don't know why. I was telling you everything. And I was just like, well, something's got to stick, you know? It was just really interesting to find out, like, even just why my nose was running so constantly after working out, right? Or why I couldn't breathe when I worked out, to why I was having pains in my right pinky finger. And I must say that the pain in them have like either always fully subsided and I don't experience them, or I experience them less now because every time we
Mhm.
work together, it chips away at it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wonderful.
It is
It, and
wonderful.
the thing is, you don't actually have to tell me a lot.
That's very true. Not anymore. I think I just
Yeah.
used to. Yeah.
It's like I can find out everything about you. That isn't supposed to sound scary.
No, no. It's only because I've given you access to myself. And I know that as with
Exactly.
any responsible healer, we only connect when we are given that permission to, and for that purpose.
Absolutely. And that's actually the first thing I do. First of all, when I connect to a client, they are giving me permission. But when I start the session, I also ask again, do I have permission to connect to your highest consciousness? And I always double check. And
Oh.
I I've never been told no, but I've never ever connected to somebody that I haven't been given permission for. It's not done. It's not ethical.
Plus, you might see something you don't want to see. So it's like,
Well, you're also going to be given the wrong information.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah,
Because it doesn't come from the highest good for anyone in that aspect.
exactly. Yeah.
I love that so much. And I love how responsible you are with your gifts and your abilities. And I'm so grateful that I have been able to meet you and work with you and still work with you.
Absolutely. Oh, I so enjoy our sessions. I think we have more fun than
Yeah,
anything else.
absolutely. I know. I'm so excited for our Psych-K session today. I know that typically in a Psych-K session, we work on whatever I want to work on. And today I decided to just let my subconscious lead the way because I feel like there's just a few messages for me
Okay.
and getting ready for this journey. But before we begin, I was wondering if you could just give some details about what Psych-K really is and what a session is like with you.
Psych-K is transforming beliefs. It's psychological kinesiology. So the sessions are done on a Zoom call. So when I connect to your subconscious mind. So I'm doing the muscle testing. So I go into surrogation for you. You get to do everything else. So and usually it starts if you're going through a trauma, we do what's called TPS, which is transforming the perception of stress, where I get you to sit in what's referred to as a whole brain state, where, so if I can explain, the brain has two hemispheres, the right and the left. And if you sit in a state where you're crossing that midline, it will reduce the stress that that person is feeling because it integrates the two hemispheres of the brain. So if someone's going through a trauma right at the beginning of the session and the mind's all over the place, it's like, okay, let's get that stress away and then we can proceed. But usually I start with the messages. And so I'll, say this issue or this condition that you're going through has a message for you. And I will go through. So I've got about 50 books on my desk. And as I said, nearly 80 decks of oracle cards. And it's not me shuffling the deck of cards. It will be going through the book and finding a paragraph. So it focuses very, very specifically on that message. So I won't be shuffling the card and reading like 3 pages of the message. It'll be this particular message. And then when I read the message to you, or I'll ask you or whoever I'm working with, what jumps out to you? What word, because it could just be a word in there, what phrase, or it could be the whole message. What rings true for you? What's jumping out? Because whatever it is the message your body's trying to tell you regarding this issue. And then we'll take that word or we'll take that sentence, and then we'll create what's referred to as a goal statement. So a goal statement is like an affirmation. So I love and accept myself on all levels. That would be a goal statement.
Mm-hmm.
And then we create a new belief. We'll create that goal statement into a new belief by doing specific brain integration exercises. And it can be any one of 5 or 6 different methods. And then a muscle test afterwards and see if you're strong to that. And then after the session, you get action steps. So you get homework to do when you work with me. It's always fun. So if your belief was, I feel unsure of myself, or I'm scared of meeting people, and we create a new belief around, it's fun and easy for me to meet new people, your action step would be to join a club, to join a gym, to go and meet new people. So you get a conscious reinforcement. So you've got a new belief in your subconscious mind. Now you've got to actually experience it on a conscious level. And it's like, yeah, you walk into a club where you're going to be meeting this new group of people, and it's like, oh, yeah, it's not so scary after all. And you realize there's this shift. And when you realize that shift on a conscious level, then it builds on that.
And I love that you can use Psych-K to change any belief. I've used it with you for so many, like to to lessen my fear, to be seen more, just to bring in more abundance, even right, financial wealth and whatnot. And I have to say though that the homework at first I was like, oh great, there's actually homework from Claire. But the homework is actually so easy because it's already in alignment with what you're working on, and you're already working on a lot of that stuff. So like I think one time one of my fears was to be seen. And we worked on that and we created an affirmation around it. And the homework was to build my website out for my business. And at first I didn't like it, but then I realized, oh, I'm already doing it anyway. So the homework is just like so easy to do too. It doesn't
Yeah.
ever feel overwhelming. It
Hmm.
feels like it's just the right next step, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And sometimes the first step of your homework can feel a little daunting because
Yeah.
it's the first time you're going to be doing that. But then when you're in it, you realize, oh, yes, something has shifted. And a lot of people worry about, like, is this the right goal statement? Is this the right affirmation? I could be using the wrong one. But in the process, I will always ask, it's safe and appropriate to balance for this goal now. So whatever you're balancing for, it's always going to be safe and appropriate. Sometimes you go, no, it's not safe and appropriate. There's something I need to do before. And often, not always, but often it's so if the goal statement is it's fun to meet new people and it's not safe and appropriate, then doing the goal statement, it's safe to meet new people. And then when you've corrected that, sometimes it then corrects everything. Maybe you had a fear of meeting new people because you didn't feel safe.
Mm.
So being safe in that environment then will correct a whole bunch of stuff.
So it's kind of like if the full end of the spectrum of where you want to be may not feel like it might feel overwhelming, it's like you scale and chisel it back until it feels safe to
Yeah,
be. That's pretty cool. I think all of mine have always been safe and appropriate. Can't
I
remember,
think so.
but
Yeah.
yeah.
It doesn't come up very often.
Hmm.
Sometimes it can be like that past life thing. It's not safe to be in relationships. Maybe you've had an abusive husband in a past life, or, you know, told all the authorities that you were a witch and you were put in the ducking store. Whatever
Yeah.
it is, I mean, those things can happen and it's not safe anymore.
Hmm.
So you create that safety and you take that stress out of that feeling. And it's just like taking a deep breath and just feeling your shoulders relax and just embracing life more.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to get into our session. Do you have any advice or anything you'd want to say to anyone that might be watching this today?
Just be open to change, to understand that what you're going through is not what you have to go through for the rest of your life, that there is modalities, there are things that you can do that can change the situation that you're in. So sometimes you can get into victim mode, that why me, and then just like, this is the way it's always going to be, and it doesn't have to be that way. You can change anything, anything and everything. So just sort of have that courage to dip your toe in the ocean and take that first step.
It's so amazing to be able to hear from you today about more about what you do and actually how you got into it, because I actually never knew the backstory behind that.
Thank you.
Claire has connected to me and she is ready to give me a message.
Yeah. So as Christina said, I connected to her superconscious mind off camera. So now I'm going to be doing all the muscle testing for her. So what issue are we going to be working on today, Christina?
Just the subconscious, just to see what messages are there for me. And just to give you context a little bit, is that I've been in such a state of amazing receiving. So I know we've worked together quite a bit on unblocking me from receiving before. And I feel like what the vision that I actually get is I'm opening a closet door and all these gifts come stockpiling out. And it's like they've been there this whole time, just waiting for me to open them. So I'm just here to receive what it is that I'm meant to receive.
Okay. So what I'm going to be looking for probably is the message, like the most important message that your highest consciousness wants you to know today. Okay. Bear
Okay.
with me. This will all be done in silence. Yes, the message is from a card called Phoenix Rising. This is not a time to create, but a time to sweep away everything that has not worked in your life. The reason so many things are breaking down and not going your way is because the old cycle of life is completing. And how does that resonate with you, Miss Christina?
I have a smile on my face. Can we read that one more time?
Absolutely. Now I got to find it again. This is not a time to create, but a time to sweep away everything that is not worked in your life. The reason so many things are breaking down and not going your way is because the old cycle of life is completing. So it's not necessarily the whole paragraph, but what comes to me, it's the last line, the old cycle of life is completing.
That is absolutely true. I'm so giddy. I think this is like the giddiest I've been in all of our sessions. I've been feeling that so much. And it's so crazy because up until July 1st, I was I had so much energy to do everything. And then all of a sudden, as soon as July started, my energy just became very like intentional, and I could no longer do a lot of the things that I was doing before. And I've been spending the last couple of weeks, I think, also in preparation for this full moon and the ceremony that I'm about to go on, um, sitting in so much silence and stillness and just letting everything come up and leave, you know? And it hasn't been crazy hard this time. It's been a little bit of a challenge, but the difference now is that as everything's been coming up, I've been like, this is meant for me just to feel it and to leave. I can let go of the past shame and the past anger, and the guilt, because I no longer need it. And I'm making room for something amazing.
Yes. Yeah. And you deserve it. The work that you have done and the dedication you have given to yourself is so wonderful to see, and the transformation that I've seen from you over the years is just so heartwarming. It's like, this is why I do what I do, because I love to
Yeah.
see people be the best versions of themselves, and to sit on a Zoom call with a smile like a Cheshire cat, because life is so wonderful. Life is supposed to be wonderful. It's not supposed to be a struggle. But
Yeah,
if you hold on to stuff, it can be a struggle. So
absolutely.
if when you find a message, and this is why I love oracle cards. I discovered them, I don't know, about 20 years ago, when a friend had a deck and she said, "Oh, try this." So I shuffled them. It's like, wow, wasn't that a coincidence when I got the message? And for the longest time, I would think, my goodness, the amount of coincidences that come out of these oracle card decks. But when you understand the energy of your subconscious mind and the energy of the universe, you understand, no, it's exactly the right message. Sometimes
Yeah.
it confuses you. And then maybe a week later, I know I've given you a message, and a week later you've emailed me and said, okay, I understand it now. That was dead on.
Mm-hmm.
But
It may
yeah,
not resonate in the present moment, but it always integrates at some point. And there's still
yeah,
some messages that you've given me from before that are working their way in now too. I just began my session, my PSYCH-K session with Claire, or at least I remember them and I'm reminded of them and to carry them forward with me. And so I'm just so excited for
so
this.
your new life is about to start. And I have that feeling around July, and you see a lot of posts from astrologers and psychics that there is a shift coming in July. There's a lot of energy changing, which is really exciting. It's about time.
Yeah, it's been like a state of transition. And the most challenging part for me has been like, okay, do I go do? And then it's like, no, just relax. It's all happening. It's all coming in. And I don't have to chase anything. So you remember that
Yes.
when you first met me, I was all about chasing, forcing, doing, being in fear. And what a 180.
Yes. I mean, you've got this vision of this donkey, and you're trying to coax the donkey by putting a carrot in front of the nose. And trying to chase things is just like that, because the faster you chase after something, the faster the carrot's going to be moving away from you. You're never going to catch it.
Did you
Sometimes,
just
like,
compare
take it.
me to a donkey?
I'm sorry, Christina.
No, that's
It's a lovely donkey, though.
yeah.
Sometimes just being, like, just sit in peaceful detachment from everything and just be, and then allow the universe to come to you. Don't go out and chase it, because if you chase it, it's like you may be chasing something that's not meant for you at that time, and you just allow, just be you, just allow, and the right things will come to you at the right time.
Yeah, the right time, not my time, but the right time. Oh
Exactly.
my gosh. Okay, so what do we do now? Do we create an affirmation statement around this? Do we need to?
um no, so that was just a message for you. That was just your highest consciousness going, this is what you've created in your life. This is my message. And occasionally I will get messages that it's just a message. It's
This is
just to
the
tell
first
you what
time.
that you're doing such a fantastic job, that yeah, that's your message.
Oh my God, this session is like my best session, so my most favorite session so far. Let's keep going. Let's keep it coming.
Okay,
We won't be filming the rest of this session on camera, but we'll come back at the end of the session with any final thoughts.
that sounds good.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. This is definitely by far my most favorite session with you, Claire. I was hoping after the first message, I would just keep getting messages and not have to do anything. But I love the messages that came through and the affirmations that we share that actually came through for me and that we worked on. And I really love that when I got stuck on what affirmation do we make for myself, you were able to help me. And I know we had to whittle down through a few in a couple of the of statements. So I think we went through about like four goals and affirmations in this session. Is that
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
Um,
Good. We tried a few, and this
mhm,
is a testament to how much work you have done and how much you've evolved over the years, that
yeah.
so many that we tried, you tested strong. So it's like, well, you have that belief. But if the message is regarding whatever the message was about, there's some fine detail that we need to address.
Yeah.
And it was a wonderful process. And this was so much on a higher level. It wasn't to do with a pain in the knee or any physical discomfort or what's holding you back. It's fully embracing your purpose. And to just address what we were just discussing before you started the recording again, it's about just being. It's it's stopping striving, and that doesn't mean stopping doing the work, stopping studying, but letting go of that need, oh, I need to get this qualification to be able to do my work well. I need to do this, I need to do that. It's about, I am perfect just the way I am. And if something comes across my path, then I will embrace that. But just being, and then you allow the universe to send you what it needs. And the universe will send you what you need. And you will notice it, because you will be in such a state of peace that you will notice those signs. You will notice those gifts that are being sent to you, and you will know exactly what to do. When your mind is cluttered with feelings of hate and misery and sadness and all that type of stuff, that's kind of blocking all that beautiful energy from the universe from coming to you. So if you let that go and just sit in a state of peace and non-attachment, then all of a sudden that energy starts to flow to you. And if you have changed the belief that I am unworthy to I am worthy of greatness, then that new energy within you is what attracts that to you. So like attracts like. If you believe that you are worthy, then life experience that foster that feeling of worthiness will be attracted to you. That's how it works. But it's first let go, then just be and
Yeah.
receive.
I love that. And I love that in our session today, it is absolutely about just being and being in the present, because it was the one statement that we put around letting go of my past. It was so different this time because it wasn't about am I accepting enough, accountability or responsibility or letting one instance of the past go. None of that mattered as we were putting my affirmation together and my goal statement. It just mattered what came to me when we were doing our doing that the PSYCH-K on that was just around, how do I feel now? Where am I now? And I said, I'm really happy. And it said, then that's all that matters. So you can just let
Hmm?
everything else just go. It's not
Yes.
about who did what and for me to take, like blame myself or blame someone else, but everything is just where it is now. And if I'm happy, then I can let all the attachment of the past just go. And I
Yeah.
don't need to look back at all.
And and don't you feel peaceful when you embrace that feeling? Like when you've forgiven everyone
Yeah,
and you can just sit peacefully. It's just such a wonderful feeling.
it is. And it's like I don't have to look back. I feel like a book just closed, in all
Mhm.
honesty. Like I just finished reading a book and it's done.
Yeah. And then you get to start to write your new book.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love it. I'm already loving it. Thank you so much for this session, Claire. I always love coming out of our sessions because I mean, every time I don't even have the words, as you can tell. I'm just like, ah, it's so wonderful. And I definitely recommend anyone who's watching this, if they're even curious at all, just to even reach out to you. And I'll put your website link in the description of the video. Um, and just reach out to Claire. If you're curious and you don't know where to start, just reach out to her on your. I hope to hear her website and she'll guide you.
Thank you, Christina. It's always such a joy working with you. Whenever I get your emails, it's like, we're just going to have a fun hour together because that's what it
Absolutely.
turns out to be.
There's
And if
always so much
anyone's one,
laughter.
absolutely. And you never have to worry about the goal statements or the new affirmations or the new beliefs because we just work on those together. And
Mhm.
there's never a wrong one. If it's
No.
positive, then it's good.
Yeah, I mean this one we had the most positive, and this one is probably been the most where I'm like, I actually really need your help, Claire. I don't know what the statement is around this, and I'm so glad to have had you there because I was like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and it helps me to get out of my own head about it. Thank you so much for your time today, Claire. I've
Oh,
appreciated this.
you're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk with you. And if I may mention, I've just had my first book published. It's on Amazon and Apple Books. So on Amazon you can get a hard copy or the downloadable copy, and it's called Your Time to Fly.
Oh, I love that. And I know that you're working on some upcoming projects and about them more soon.
I will share with that later.
Thanks, Claire.
Thank you,
I'll see you
Christina. Thank you
soon.
so much.
I just wanted to share the printout I received after my session with Claire. It was all about closing out old cycles, doing my best, and just speaking my truth regardless of anything else. I hope that you enjoyed this episode and got to know a little bit more about Claire and her offerings. Thanks for joining, and until next time.